There's a reason I keep coming back to old cars like this, because the moment you get lazy with your inputs, it tells you immediately. No traction control, no ABS, no filter between you and the car, and around a place like the Nords, that means every little mistake shows up fast. What makes the 288 GTO so good, though, is that it doesn't punish you, it actually teaches you. And that's exactly why this thing is so rewarding to drive. I'm using the Ferrari 288 GTO here in the EVO 0.6 update, and this is exactly the kind of car I naturally gravitate toward because it feels mechanical in a way a lot of the newer stuff just doesn't. You're not leaning on electronics, you're not hiding behind grip, you're just dealing with the weight of the car, the throttle, the brakes, and whatever line you gave yourself a second earlier. And when you put something like that into traffic at the Nords, the whole thing gets even better now because it's not just about pace, it's about how cleanly you can keep the car under control while everything around you is moving. The first part of the race is really just me settling into what the car wants, because even if you know the track and even if you know the car in theory, the Nords is still the kind of place where one rushed input can follow you for the next 3 corners. And right away you can feel what makes the GTO different. It's not nervous exactly, but it doesn't hide anything. If the brake release is messy, you feel it. If you ask for too much steering too early, you also feel it. If you get greedy with the throttle before the rear is ready, you definitely will feel that too. I think this is such a good teaching car because it forces you to understand the actual vehicle dynamics instead of just driving through the problem. A lot of faster modern cars can cover up things or at least delay the consequence long enough that you think the input was fine, but something like this just gives it back to you immediately. The car rotates when the weight is where it needs to be, not when you wish it would. The rear takes the throttle when it's ready, not when you get impatient. And if you do it right, the car just feels so incredible because there's just this raw direct connection beneath you. Once the race settles in a bit, that's when the car starts making more sense. I'm not really trying to overpower anything, I'm just keeping it tidy, trying not to ask the car for anything twice, and that's where the GTO starts rewarding you. The steering gets calmer, the exits get cleaner, and in traffic that matters a lot because if the car stays underneath you, and that's what starts opening the doors here, not some huge heroic send or a late braking miracle. Just a car that's actually settled enough that I can commit to a line while everyone else is still recovering from a previous corner. And honestly, this is why a car like this is such a good lens for an update too. Because if something in the sim changes, an old mechanical Ferrari tends to show it pretty quickly. There's nowhere for the field to hide. You notice it in the way the front takes load. You notice it in the way the rear accepts throttle. And you notice it in how much confidence the chassis gives you when the road starts getting busy. But the GTO, if the sim feels better, you know it. If something feels off, you'll know that too. That's what makes this kind of car so useful, not just fun. And around here the race starts getting more serious because the positions are there if I keep it clean. The temptation at the Nords is always to start overdriving once you realize there's a result on the table, especially in something like this where the car feels alive and every good corner makes you think maybe there's even more in it, but that's exactly where older cars punish you. The fastest way around in something like the GTO usually isn't dramatic, it's patient. It's letting the car finish one thing before you ask for the next one. And that's also why I enjoy this more than driving something easier. You actually feel like you earned the pace. The podium run here isn't coming from the car flattering me or giving me a safety net. It's coming from understanding what the chassis wants and slowly getting more in sync with it as the race goes on. That's way more satisfying to me than jumping in something ultra capable and just leaning on the systems. Cars like this sharpen you because they make you pay attention, and they make you respect what the front axle is doing and what the rear is doing, where the weight is and how early you can commit and how patient you need to be. And by the end of the run, that's really what feels best about finishing P3. Obviously a podium at the Nords is more satisfying on its own, but more than that, it feels like the car finally starts making sense. That's why I keep coming back to old machines like the 288 GTO. No assists, no excuses, just raw feedback and a car that teaches you something every lap if you're willing to listen. I'll catch you on the next run. Peace.